going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well. It is Monday, first day of the week, bank holiday Monday here in the UK. So there's probably a lot of tired people. Probably a lot of people going, oof, feeling a little bit worse for wear, a little bit tired. And I tell you what, I'm tired today. I'm not tired because I was doing anything out and about. I was watching wrestling last night, as you can see on my channel. But it's the final week of the transfer window as well. So the final week of the transfer view as well. And it looks like it may be a busy one for Manchester United. Outgoings, incomings, permanent deals, loan deals. We've got it all covered for you. And yesterday was a busy day when it comes to transfer news and information, wasn't it? Oh, it was a very, very busy day when it came to transfer news, when it comes to Scott McTominay, a bid being accepted from Napoli for the Manchester United midfielder. Jadon Sancho, looking like that one's getting closer. Chelsea possibly now getting involved in that too, which we'll talk about. Of course, Juventus still in the frame for Jadon Sancho as well. Obviously, with the McTominay stuff, that means the Ugarte stuff. Not that it wasn't going forward, but it's definitely going to go forward now, probably as a permanent deal too. And then who knows what else? Who knows what else is going to happen in the world of Manchester United? So be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe button right hand corner. Easy for me to say. And we'll be here. We'll be here to cover it. And also, just in general, the season is 2 weeks old. And I don't know about you, but it's also like, because the reaction to Saturday, the knives were put away, weren't they, at the end of the season? You know, for good, for bad, whatever side of the fence you sat on, if you were on the fence, everyone almost agreed to sort of shake hands, truce. Next thing you know, Saturday, knives are back out. Knives are firmly back out again. Everything's terrible. Everything's awful. Manchester United in the mud. We're going to get relegated this season. It's going to be awful. It's going to be terrible. When it was like, oh, here we go again. So hopefully we have a positive week here. Hopefully we have Liverpool at the weekend. Hopefully we can get a positive result against them. Look, they've got 2 out of 2. But I remember a time not too long ago when Manchester United lost both of their first 2 games of the season. Then played Liverpool at Old Trafford and they won. So we've got to kind of, remember that kind of stuff as well. And also, it must be stressed. Season and over, you know what I mean? Season and over, after the second game. It might feel like it, and it didn't help yesterday as well with, over the weekend, with all of the sort of rivals winning their games. But it's a long season, isn't it? It's a long season ahead. And that might be a long season in terms of a really bad one. It might be a long season in terms of a really good one. But one thing's for certain, it is not determined and the outcome is not finalised after the second game, is it? I think that's the crucial point. But before then, we've got to talk about transfers. There are so many transfers to get into. Before we do, I'll see everyone's in the chat. I can see Lil Yo-Yo, fresh from Wembley Stadium. Lil Yo-Yo, last night he was at Wembley. Big up Lil Yo-Yo. Nikhil says, after last season, I'm taking it easy and supporting everyone. MUVE. That's the new acronym that Joe Blackburn, I think, came up from as well. CH says, Owen, is Flex taking you to Carnival? Maybe one day. You never know. This is always a busy time of the year for us, but you never know. Possible. Mr. Shatty says, good morning, Owen. A storm in Gothenburg, Sweden today. Wow. Yes, old school United view. It annoys people. Just tell me the news. But what is the weather like where you are? Where I am, it's been horrible. It has been absolutely horrible. Where some people have, it's been quite nice over the bank holiday weekend. But where I am, it's been, it's been very rainy. Very rainy indeed. Right, let's talk though. We've got so much to get into. Let's begin with this Jadon Sancho stuff. A swap deal. You know what? Before I even read the news, I want to give credit to the guy. I cannot remember his name. Someone will let me know in the chat this. Because when people get things right when it comes to this kind of information, they deserve their flowers. There was a guy from the, I think it's German outlet, is it Kicker? It might have even been for them. It might have just been just a German journalist. Last week, Flex and myself covered it on the Transfer View. And he said, Chelsea are interested. Chelsea are interested in Jadon Sancho. They might make an offer or they might get involved. Oh, and they're also considering, possibly involving a player or two. And it was largely kind of sort of going, what is he talking about? Who's this guy? Who's this guy? They don't know what they're talking about. I don't know about that. Turns out he wasn't a million miles away, was he? He wasn't a million miles away from his reporting there, because yesterday it was reported the following. So this comes from Jason Butt from the Telegraph, and this is one of those ones where it was one of those ones where kind of everyone starts reporting it at the same time. But Jason Butt from the Telegraph said that Chelsea are hoping Manchester United may be interested in a Jadon Sancho Raheem Sterling swap deal. Now, it continued by saying that Manchester United have not received an official approach from Chelsea for Jadon Sancho so far, but are aware of their interest. He is one of several forwards they are looking at. At the moment, though, Juventus is still the most likely destination. Darmashef from Sky also said that Juventus and Chelsea are exploring a deal for Jadon Sancho. A proposal from Chelsea could include a player going the other way. Manchester United would prefer a permanent exit, but a loan has not been ruled out. Now, Gianluca Di Marzio there in Italy also said Raheem Sterling and Ben Chilwell could be included in Chelsea's offer for Jadon Sancho. And he also said Juventus are negotiating a potential loan deal for Sancho, but the player's salary represents a significant obstacle. Juventus are exploring options to overcome this problem. So there's kind of two parts of that to take. Obviously, let's probably begin with the Chelsea element of it, the Chelsea part of it. As I mentioned, shout out to the German journalist. Someone let me know in the chat. Someone find out what that was, because he does deserve a name check, doesn't he, for getting that right, or certainly being the first to report that story. There's always been those rumours that Chelsea could be interested, or Chelsea may have interest, and we kind of pushed it away by going, they don't need Jadon Sancho, they've got a million forwards. But the natural response to that was, but I say anything's impossible for Man United in this transfer window. When it comes to Chelsea, oh my God, anything's possible, right? You never know what they're going to. That was the natural reaction to that one is, but it's Chelsea. People try to guess their transfer policy. What's the point? You will not be able to do it. So you cannot rule them out. As far as the options, I know Flex said that he's got some bias with Raheem Sterling. I do not. I do not want either of them. I do not want either of them at Manchester United. Raheem Sterling, look, he's had a great career. I mean, by the way, he would tick every Manchester United rival checklist coming to Manchester United, by the way. Liverpool, Manchester City, Manchester United. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if that one happened? But no, at this stage in his career, he's been really poor for Chelsea for the last 2 years. I know that, so is everyone. But you watch him, I feel like there's been a noticeable decline in him as well. Even when he was sort of playing for England, I know he was a Southgate favourite for a period of time too, and there were question marks about his inclusion in England squads because he wasn't really delivering all that much. His wages are, really, really high. That's really also the big reason why Chelsea want to get rid of him, is because his wages are huge. He's one. I think after now that Lukaku's gone from Chelsea, I believe he's the highest paid player at the club. I think I may be wrong. Let's do a quick fact check on that Chelsea salary. Go to my favorite website, Capology, which the name isn't like it's bullshit. So yes, I was correct. Romelu Lukaku is the highest paid player at Chelsea, still until that deal actually officially goes through. He's on £325,000 a week. So is Raheem Sterling, £325,000 a week. So one, if he was to come to United, he'd have to take a pay cut. And two, the whole Sterling thing in general. That's why I think Chelsea, it'll be interesting to see how Chelsea can, if they can kind of force him out, because maybe Manchester United could take a bit of a leaf from their book when it comes to that, because, well, not giving him a number, taking his number away from him. But it'd be interesting to see how they do bridge that gap when it comes to his salary, because again, it's a lot of money. But again, with Sterling at this point in his career, it's just not the player that Manchester United need to be looking for, is it? I mean, he's 30 in December, high wages, he's been around at several big clubs. Manchester United already have players in forward positions, younger players in forward positions, and it's just, you know what? It's a deal that United would have probably done in the past, in all honesty, wouldn't it? You could see Ed Woodward or Richard Arnold signing off on this deal, couldn't you? You could see that. Got Raheem Sterling. Think of the name value. Think of the shirts. Think of the social media. Think of the people talking about it. That's what it could be. It could be fantastic getting Raheem Sterling in. That's what Ed Woodward would probably think from a commercial point of view. Ineos, from a sporting point of view, we would hope would go, no, thank you. No, thank you. Not interested. If you want to get Jadon, pay up some money, a loan, obligation to buy. We're interested, but Raheem Sterling, absolutely not. So for me, no go, no way. Man United don't need to be going anywhere near that. When it comes to, and I know people say, what about Cole Palmer? I know he's a Man United fan. Doesn't he have like 9 years left on his contract? He might be a smidge unattainable at the moment, Cole Palmer. Yeah, and I know Chelsea's transfer policy is mad, but I don't think they're also in the business of selling their best player as well. And could you imagine if Man United came back to that? We went, no, but we'll take Cole Palmer. You'd be like, hello, you still there? No? Oh, they hung up. We're not getting Cole Palmer. So the Sterling one, not interested. The Ben Chillwell one, no. There's I'm not interested in that one as well. We do need a left back. We absolutely do need a left back, but Ben Chilwell's injury record is just as bad, if not worse, than Luke Shaw's. If you look at his injury record, and again you look at his wages, £200,000 a week. I mean, again, it doesn't take a genius to see why Chelsea are looking to get rid of these two players specifically. If they get rid of them, they save over £500,000 a week on wages. Of course, they would want to get rid of those two. But with Ben Chilwell, again, what would his position be in terms of the pecking order in the left back role? What would his wages be? And on top of that, again, his injury record's ridiculous. If he comes in, what's he going to come in for? Half of that? He's going to come in on 100k a week? Is that what's going to happen? Of course he's not. And we have to be realistic with that. The only way that I would accept a Ben Chilwell coming into Manchester United, if they said it's a drastic salary cut, you're on a 1-year contract and it's rolling, and there's like an injury release clause or something like that, which of course he would never accept. So again, no interest in that one at all. And if Man United can afford to get a left back, even if because you'd be able to afford Ben Chilwell's salary, go get a cheaper one. Go get an emergency loan. Go back to Sergio Reguilon or something like that. Get him on loan until you can actually properly address it. The Ben Chilwell one, and again, the Sterling situation, you can just see the future in it, can't you? You can see the future in a year's time, 18 months' time, we'd go, we need to get rid of those because they're not good enough. Or why did we get those players when, they're either injury prone or they haven't been playing well anyway? Why did we do that? So it's a big red flag. It's a big no. I think with the Sancho stuff, it looks like obviously they're still saying Juventus is the most likely destination. Ultimately, the most likely destination should be where Manchester United feel like they can get the best deal on money through the door, because then they can put it to other positions with still some time to go. We're going to get to the McTominay thing shortly. If Man United can get that McTominay deal done, looks like they are. Pure profit, 25 million, rising to 30 million. Brilliant. And a salon fee, I think, as well with McTominay. And if they can get some money up front for Sancho, I don't think they're probably going to get that 40 million quid for Jadon Sancho. But if they can get a loan, obligation to buy or something like that, suddenly you can get Ugarte, and then you can start looking at those other positions. You can go, actually, screw you, Ben Chilwell. We go get a left back. Go get it. Or we can go get another midfielder. So the Chelsea element of this, I think Chelsea are just very, opportunistic in the transfer market. They try and squeeze, don't they, sort of every last penny that they've got, and try and just constantly bring people in. But when it comes to this, the Raheem Sterling part of it, Chelsea's very desperate. I think they've got a less than a week left of the window, and they are desperate to get two of the highest earners off the books, and they will do absolutely anything to do that. And what Manchester United need to do is basically not be that option. Man United just need to be like, we're not bailing you out. Why if we gave them Jadon Sancho, if we did a swap deal that involved Jadon Sancho, even for both, for like Sterling and Ben Chilwell, we'd be doing them a favour. We would, because they're in a bind. They're in a bind. But these guys, Sterling and Chilwell, they're only going to be registered in their Premier League squad. They're not even probably going to be in the 25. They don't have numbers at the moment. We'd be doing them a favour. If Jadon Sancho stayed at United, which I don't think will happen at this point, but if he stayed, he'd be in the squad. I know he hasn't been named in the first two squads, but they're reportedly at the weekend it was because of all this transfer situation going on with Juventus and what have you. But if Jadon Sancho stayed, he would be integrated. He wouldn't be a first-team starter, but he'd be involved, you know. Whereas with Sterling and Chilwell, they're not going to be involved at all. I mean, again, they don't have a number. They will be training by themselves at the Chelsea training grounds at Cobham until January. You know, that's what it will be. So we'd be doing them a favour, absolutely doing them a favour, and we don't need to do that. We don't need to do that at all. So for me, it'll be the Juventus one. Get the money that you can get, and then let Chelsea sort their own mess out. You know, we don't need to get involved with all that nonsense. Super chat from Ray says, "Morning, Owen. All I can say is I'm keeping out of this manager crap. All I want is United to do well. If we are in this manager talk all season, we failed, and I don't really want that." You know what, Ray? I agree. I must say that I obviously, after the weekend, there was a lot of raw emotion, and that was there was lots of disappointment, wasn't there, coming out of the weekend? And there's lots of sort of gut punches, the late goal, the manner of which we conceded, the fact that we had the ball in the net 3 times. It felt very last season, didn't it? It felt very, very... You could have put that game last season. Although we did play better, I think, over 90 minutes than we did for the majority of last season. But it doesn't matter. Football's a results-based business. But it did feel like to me that there was this portion of people that was just like... They were sat on their hands waiting for the first loss of the season, going... When it comes, I will come back and it will be starting all over again. And obviously the manner of which it happened, because there's a lot of blame that went to Eric Ten Hag's, Eric Ten Hag's fault because of team selection and substitutions. It was like, see, he's got to go. And I know the last thing, when people are angry or they're upset, the last thing they want to hear is someone like me or anyone go, you know, when you're really pissed off and someone goes, you know, calm down, it's not all that bad. It just makes you more irate, doesn't it? It makes you more irate. It makes you more, shut up. Don't tell me to calm down. I'll be angry if I want to be angry. So what I'm about to say will probably just incense you even more. And I apologize for that. But for me, it was really disappointing. But I would caution, it is one game. It is one game. Now, I know last season but that was not one game, Owen. Last season happened all the time. I totally get that. But in this season, in terms of the outcome of this season, there is still a lot that can happen. You know what I mean? There is still a lot that can happen. We saw Manchester United lose their first 2 games under Eric Ten Hag's first season. We finished 3rd and won the Carabao Cup. Our season is not yet defined. Our season is not yet over. It might feel like it because, again, it's scenes of last season, blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't, and again, it's not to me to preach, because I don't want to say you shouldn't be angry, because of course you're going to be angry. We lost, and also the manner of which we lost was really, really disappointing. So it's not that. But when you do take a step back, you go, well, if we win our next game and people go, we've got Liverpool next, well, we've got results against Liverpool when we're shit. Liverpool came to Old Trafford last season. They didn't win twice last season, and we were rubbish. So it goes to show in those games, anything can happen. So the season is not yet defined. The season is not yet over. We still have, 36 games left in the Premier League to play. We still have an FA Cup campaign. We still have a Carabao Cup campaign. We still have a Europa League campaign. So it's not over. That is what I would say. It is not over. Now, are there things you want to see improvement with really, really quickly? Of course. But at the same time, if we if let's say at the weekend we beat Liverpool, which I think there's a possibility. I know people say, "Oh, you're deluded," because Liverpool won their first 2 games. But again, we played Liverpool twice last season. They didn't beat us twice. We beat them in the FA Cup. We drew in the Premier League, and we were unlucky not to win in the Premier League against them last season. We were awful last season. We were terrible, and that still happened. So who's to say that we can't get a result? That would be naive of us to say that we can't get a result. And if we were to win that game, then what do we do? Oh, actually, I'm not going to say we're going to get relegated until we lose again. That's what it's going to be. Until we lose again, then we're going to get relegated. So I would caution. And look, and also as well, this would be my kind of reaction to it. If we lose against Liverpool at the weekend, I'd be bitterly disappointed. Obviously, bitterly disappointed. But even if we lose at the weekend, the season is not over. It is not over. After 3 games, we've seen that not even that long ago. The season is not over after 3 games. Even in when at our best with Sir Alex Ferguson, we'd lose opening games of the season, and that's not to say that's us now. But my point being is that there will be a time if it continues like this to be, for me anyway, freak out. This is terrible. This is awful. But I just don't think it's now. I don't think that's right now. And that's not to absolve Erik ten Hag or the players of any criticism, because they deserved it at the weekend. They absolutely deserved the criticism at the weekend. And are there concerns? Absolutely, there are. I mentioned them all last season. And when I did last season, I got called negative and a flip-flop for turning on the manager, even though I went, it's not even a sense of he should go. It's a sense of this needs to get better. But 2 games in, it is kind of like, well, you know, it's not done yet. Like it is not done yet. And that's not toxic positivity. That's not, you've got your head in the sand, Owen. That's not this, not that. That is literally just, it's more factual. It's more factual in the sense of there is still a lot of games to play and a really long season ahead. Teams can go all the way up. They can come all the way down. I remember with Spurs last season. Remember when Spurs won the league in November? Best start ever, Ange Postecoglou, of a new manager in the Premier League. They didn't even qualify for the Champions League last season, right? People go on runs, stuff goes up, it goes down. Erik ten Hag in his first season lost 2 games, then we finished 3rd and got a trophy. Like that, it's early stages in the Premier League season. But again, I am very conscious of that. Me saying this is not an attempt to persuade people to think differently, because I cannot do that. People will have their minds made up. People will be angry. And as I said, the last thing when you're angry is to be told, calm down. So it's not that. It's just, for me, that's my opinion. All right? That's my opinion. I'm sure people, I know people have different opinions of that, of saying that. I'm not going to be calm, but that's fine. that is totally fine. But we'll see how the season plays out. For me also as well, I just don't know if I can do it again. You know what I mean? I don't know if I can do that just relentless, just bringing up people's names. And immediately when you bring up their names, it is just a barrage of just, well, ten Hag, well, you know, this player, it's like, oh my God. Especially after, again, 2 games. There'll be a time, but not now. How many likes are we currently at the moment? We're closing on 300 likes. If you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well. We've got over 1,200 people watching, which is fantastic. What are people saying here in the chat? Well, I say what people say in the chat is, as I would expect, it's very divided. But that's nothing new, is it? You know, it was divided towards the end of last season. The moment we lost a game this season, it was going to start all over again. Even if we'd won our first 10 games, you know, the 11th, if we'd have lost, then it'd be like, you know what I mean? It's that's what it would have been. But that's where we are at the moment. It was waiting for the defeat, wasn't it? That's what I mean. It was waiting for the first setback. It was going to be God, here we go again. But that's the Jadon Sancho stuff. So of course that one is going to get resolved this week, one way or the other. We'll find out indeed what does happen with it. Let's move on. Let's move on to the Scott McTominay stuff. The Scott McTominay stuff. This was very interesting. Do you know what? And I do think there needs to be some praise for Ineos when it comes to this. But David Ornstein broke the story yesterday, saying Napoli have reached an agreement with Manchester United to sign Scott McTominay. The proposed deal is subject to all parties being satisfied with the player terms. A fee in the region of €30 million, that's £25.4 million, has been settled on, and United will receive a share of any future sale from the Italian side. So just a reminder again, that is £25 million of pure profit of the future sale. That would also be pure profit. Fabrizio Romano said Napoli indeed are closing in on Scott McTominay. It's not linked to the Billy Gilmore deal, as negotiations remain separate. We spoke about it last week. There was a bit of confusion with that, but those deals are separate. The new bid worth over €30 million is accepted by Manchester United, and talks moving to the final stages also on the player side. Almost there for Scott McTominay. Romano, a bit more of an update on this as well, saying Scott McTominay has already accepted Napoli and their project. Details to be discussed about his payoff, similar to Wan-Bissaka. This is the main part to fix, plus personal terms. Club-to-club agreement is done with Man United for a €30 million fee. Add-ons included, plus a sell-on clause. So, a bit similar to the Wan-Bissaka deal. They've got to work out an exit payment because, of course, the contract that he's going to get at Napoli is not as much as it is at United, and there has to be a gap to be bridged there. But the reason I say that I think Ineos deserves some credit for that, because I remember sitting on these shows, or doing it on the match views, and there would be the people go, just accept the bids. £20 million, just accept it. 20 million euros from Napoli. Just accept it. That's what you got to do. Just accept it. Do it. And I said, that's why we're not involved in those things. Negotiations take time. Sometimes you have to wait. If there is a confidence that you can get the money that you want to get, then you have to wait, and then it can benefit you because you've got extra money to play around with when it comes to the Ugarte deal. And again, a huge credit to them for that, because how many times have they done that in this window now? How many times have they stood firm on either paying a certain amount or receiving a certain amount, and they've got it? Every time they wait and they get what they're looking for. Whether it's all the way back to Dan Ashworth with the compensation, whether it is for obviously the Bayern Munich double deal, whether it was, the Wan-Bissaka deal, whether it was with now with Scott McTominay, they waited and they waited and they waited. They will come back. They will get there. That's what it will be, and they've got it. So again, I think they deserve a huge amount of credit for that. And again, that's why we're not involved. And someone said to me on the match view on Saturday, they went, football's about emotion or something like that when it came to transfers. And I went, well, transfers aren't. Transfers aren't about emotion. Transfers are business. And with business, you have to take emotion out of it. If you start making emotional decisions, when there's money on the line, it'll tend to get into bad situations. I mean, look at some of the transfers we've done based on emotion. I can see people talking in the chat. Anthony, Richard Arnold, John Murta getting Anthony based off emotion, which was panic. They could have got him earlier on the window for less, and instead they had a bad start to the season, so they panicked. They used the emotion of panic and fear and overspent. Look at what we're dealt with there now. We brought Cristiano Ronaldo back to the club based on emotion. How did that one work out for us? Not too great. He was great for the first season, but it was never a long-term thing. Wasn't the right thing to do. With Scott McTominay, honestly, if you're going to base it on emotion, you go, homegrown guy, academy player. But ultimately, he's not good enough to be a Manchester United star. He's played over 200-odd games. He's been a good servant for Manchester United. But it's the end of his run at United. He's got 2 years left, a year plus an option. Man United need to address it now. A bit like with the Wan-Bissaka situation. What do? Do you give him a new contract? Of course you don't. Of course you don't give him a new contract. So you got to figure it out. So, and that's what United are doing, and it's the right thing to do. And as far as this was similar with the Wan-Bissaka thing, with this whole exit payment stuff. The natural reaction to that, they go, greed. It's greed. I don't blame the player for that, because again, all they want is what is owed to them. Now, and to be honest, it's probably the same at a lot of clubs like that, because they've got a contract. They've got a contract for a specific amount of time. They have a specific amount of money that is owed to them via their wages or via bonuses that they would hit, etc., etc., etc. And it's always then upon the selling club and the buying club to bridge that gap. Are you going to bridge that gap by giving me a signing-on bonus? Are you going to bridge that gap by having certain bonus payments? Are you going to bridge that gap by helping me pay off what's the rest of my contract? That is not atypical. That is not atypical. The problem is with United because of higher wages. McTominay doesn't really have higher wages, in fairness. But in terms of Man United, usually because our contracts are stupid, we have to figure that out. But it happens at most clubs, realistically. So, again, I think Ineos deserve a lot of credit for it because they've held firm. They've got the money that they were looking for, again. And now it's allowed us when it comes to Ugarte. That deal's definitely going to be a permanent deal now. There's no real question about that one anymore. You know, let's talk about loan, obligation to buy, etc. Now it's going to be a permanent one. And it also gives United more, they can more focus. I mean, the primary focus this week, I think, was getting in Ugarte, wasn't it? But now, again, that one's going to be permanent. And then you can also focus on other outgoings in terms of possibly Jadon Sancho too. And also, I think, you know, you look at the outgoings that United have been able to do in this window. I do think you have to manage expectations. Manchester United are a horrible selling club. And yet in this transfer window, they've actually raised a significant amount of money for United. I know the buy is very, very low, but you know, Scott McTominay at 25 million quid is one of our highest sales ever. It says a lot, doesn't it? You know, you've got like, isn't he? I saw someone say, I think he's like 5th or 4th highest sale ever in Manchester United history, £25 million. Again, that goes to show the sort of difficulty that you're dealing with. You know, the history, the shitty history that you're dealing with. The sales historically at Manchester United aren't good. I think what's the highest one? The highest one is still Ronaldo, isn't it? And then there's Lukaku. Then I think you get Di Maria. And then you get around like sort of Dan James territory. Scott McTominay, so he might be like 5th or 6th. It's around that period, but it's not a lot. You know what I mean? Whereas Chelsea, you look at them, the amount of people they sold in the last year or whoever, you know, they sell money, or Man City sell players for good money. Look, they sold Alvarez for like 82 million quid. So the point being is that it's a good deal for United, and it's pure profit, which is really does help Manchester United's FFP and PSR point of view. Obviously, will help in this window to facilitate this Ugarte deal, which, as I said, was happening anyway. I think it was just a case of how was it going to happen. Now it's maybe just a bit more straightforward because it can be a permanent deal and you don't have to be looking at those obligations and what have you. But also, even if the Ugarte deal does happen and all that, I think also, I think people are kind of forgetting this a little bit, is that if we do have still money to spend, because again, it's pure profit, January is going to be really, really important for us. We do not participate that often, which is ironic because our captain was bought in the January transfer window several years ago. But in recent years, because of FFP and PSR, we just do not participate in the January transfer window. And talking about sort of changing your season, twisting your season, you can do that in January. You have to remember, like, the window shuts beginning of September. It's not even that many months till January at that point. And there is always a pool of players that are available. There are always players that right now, at this moment in time, you go, oh, they're not available. Suddenly, they become available in January, cut price, loan deals, or what have you. And then you can really just change your season a little bit and move it around there. And United, because we just don't have the money, we can't even participate in it. We've got a couple of loans here and there, Weghorst, Sabitzer, but that was low cost loan. We've actually missed out on quite a few signings, haven't we, in the January window because we just can't even get involved. So to actually have some money available at that point would be really good, because again, you don't know what the season's going to be looking like at that point in time. You would hope before then. Again, Ugarte's through the door, maybe some other people. I still think this week as well, when it comes to, and you can let me know in the chat, how many more players will be through the door. I would say Ugarte obviously will be one. And then the other people that will be through the door. Possibly another midfielder or a fullback, I think. I think there'll be at least two because of the money that seems to be coming in. And again, I think that kind of depends on the Sancho stuff. But I think Sancho goes. So I'm gonna say that either another midfielder after Ugarte or a fullback comes in. And I hope it's not Ben Chillwell. Absolutely not. Absolutely no way can that be Ben Chilwell. No, thank you. Speaking of which, Joe Fleming says, Chilwell, 10 million, 2-year reduced wage, I'm not against. For me, not even two. Not even two. There would have to be really specific, really specific circumstances for me to even consider Ben Chilwell, in all honesty. Like I said, it would have to be like 1 year, rolling contract, reduced wages, pay as you play situation. Because again, his injury record. Let's get it up here. We want to talk about those same people that were trying to do that whole that injury thing for De Ligt. If they even dare say anything about Ben Chilwell, you taking the piss. Right? Let's look at the last 3 seasons for Ben Chilwell, yeah? 23-24, he missed 35 games. 22-23, he missed 20 games. 21-22, he missed 45 games, right? That's the last 3 seasons. What's that? 60, 90. He's missed over 100 games in the last 3 seasons, right? Ben Chilwell. Prior to that, he had 3 years where he was very consistent. Only missed 7, 6, and 3. But that was, 4 years ago at this point. And then before that, missed 13 games, missed 34 games as well, 16, 17. Now, that is injury prone, folks, okay? Spare me the Matthijs de Ligt bullshit about, he's injury prone all the time. That is injury prone. For the last 3 seasons, he has missed combined over 100 games through injuries. Significant injuries as well. So, absolutely not. Absolutely not. He's had 2 major hamstring injuries in the last 2 seasons. Obviously, he did his cruciate as well. It's just absolutely no way. How mad it would be to have like an injury-prone English left back and just go, let's just get another one and have them both on the books on the same time. So absolutely no way, absolutely no interest. Like I said, unless the only thing would be is pay as you play, 1 year deal. That's it basically. Otherwise, not interested. Not interested at all. And then when it comes to Raheem Sterling, again, I just don't see the worth. I don't think that's a deal that United should do. 30 in December, high wage. We've already got players in wide positions. Sterling, I mean, when he was at City, Pep had managed to kind of work on his end product, but it feels like it's completely kind of gone to shit at Chelsea, doesn't it? I mean, if you want to sum up Raheem Sterling's time at Chelsea in one clip or one moment, it would be the free kick that he did against Leicester last season in the FA Cup, I think it was. I think is the worst free kick I've ever seen in my life. It's like edge of the box. I think it might even be like in the D. And it could not be further wide. I have no idea. When you watch it back, I don't know how that's possible. I do not know how that is physically possible to do that. And some of the camera angles that are on social media with that, it's insane. It's insane. The technique literally is just, you have to put a lot on it, try and get it over the wall, get it on target. He runs up to it, side foots it, and like it goes here. It goes all the way up there, and it goes right up into the stand. It is the worst free kick. I mean, look, we had Cristiano Ronaldo back at Manchester United for a year and a bit. We know what his free kicks are like nowadays. It is the worst free kick ever, and that sums up Raheem Sterling at Chelsea. To be honest with you, last year I think there was counter-attack against Wolves for on goal. It was just not good. Not good. And he just, no, absolutely not. Avoid it. We don't need that. And we don't need to, whilst we are, still desperate to get signings through the door, we're not that desperate. We're not. I think, what did Sir Jim Ratcliffe say? Walk to the right decision as opposed to run to the wrong one. And that's what it would be. So not interested. No, thank you. No, thank you. But that's the McTominay stuff. We've got over 1,400 people watching. We're 7 likes away from 400. So if you haven't already, click the like button. Let's see if we can get it to 500 likes this morning. A reminder, coming up later today, 7 p.m, episode 3 of The Red Carpet. Flex, KG, myself, Adam, Saeed, possibly more names to come in the future. Let us know, actually, in the chat who you'd like to see get involved in that, or in the comments if you're watching after the fact. A lot to talk about after the weekend. I'm sure there'll be a lot of opinions and a lot of contrasting point of view. It'd be interesting to see what Saeed does say, because obviously he was like, no, new season, I'm calm. But from what I've seen, in fairness, from what I've seen of him in terms of the clips, and this was only the sort of the match day stuff, I did see him say that he thought we played okay. So I will see. we will see what he does say with that. But yes, that's coming up 7 p.m. Be sure to tune in for that. It's always a lot of fun, and as I said, there's going to be a lot to talk about this week, no doubt about that. Less than 100 likes to go to 500. We can do it, folks. Right, speaking of midfielders, speaking of obviously McTominay going, that would lead one to Manuel Ugarte, and it looks like this week is finally going to be the week. Hopefully, it's been imminent, closer than ever. Can't get much closer. Miroslav, closer. You get my point. Manchester United are set to close the Manuel Ugarte deal, according to Fabrizio Romano, and it can now be a permanent transfer. If all goes to plan with Scott McTominay to Napoli, Manchester United will proceed with a permanent move for Ugarte as PSG wanted. Ugarte only wants United. He's ready to travel. He's been stood at the door with his bags like that. Like he's going on holiday and he's waiting for the taxi to arrive to take him to the airport. He's been stood there for months, bless him. He's been stood there for months with his bags ready. Or he's got a go bag, you know what I mean? He's got a go bag ready to go. Like when you're going to have a baby, got everything packed. Just in case, for when we're ready. When everything happens, we're packed up, ready to go. That's what he's like at the moment. So the Ugarte deal is going to happen this week. Going to be now a permanent deal because of the McTominay thing. I suppose now it's just really a question of what's that price going to be. I mean, the price was a bit of a sticking point previously. It looked like it had sort of come that. You know what would actually be quite frustrated, I suppose? Frustrated, and look, it's still good because it's going to happen. But can you imagine, like, negotiating for weeks? Because that's what they've been doing. They've been negotiating for weeks about, this deal, and everything's been on the table. Permanent deal. Can we do a permanent deal? We're a bit tight on FFP, PSR. We're trying to sell some players at the moment, but we'll see what can happen with that. Well, okay, then what about a loan? Yeah, okay, we can do a loan, but is that going to be an obligation to buy? Okay, cool. What's the price of the obligation to buy? We're thinking this. We're thinking this. No. What if it was an option to buy? Well, I suppose, but then after a certain amount of games, could we turn it into a obligation? Is that what we could maybe do instead of the option? And then you suddenly just get, we can buy him now. All that negotiating, all that back and forth. Then we sold McTominay. We can do it. So let's do it. The only thing again is just going to be the price. I would still hope, because I really do think, I know that maybe the start of the season now, because of that game at the weekend, it's maybe sort of clouded people's judgments a little bit when it comes to this transfer window. But in all respects, I think this transfer window from Ineos has been a very, very good one. There's not a lot more I feel like they could have realistically done. I mean, obviously, people will think this is FIFA and Football Manager, so they should have sold Rashford, they should have sold Casemiro, they should have sold Anthony. In an ideal world, of course that would have happened. But we don't live in an ideal world, we live in reality, And those players are incredibly difficult to move on for various reasons. But when it comes to the work that they have done, they've done a very good job. I think anyway, moving players on, which historically is really, really hard at Manchester United. Brought players in for good value for money. It's going to be 5 players through the door. Not bad for a budget of £35 million, which always gets quoted every summer, isn't it? And possibly more. So the last thing would be with this Ugarte one, wouldn't it? Would be, if we end up paying what PSG paid 12 months ago, then I would go, that's not the best deal you could have got. That's not. Why are we paying PSG's debts, basically? Because the PSG situation is, they're signing of Ugarte spread across a certain amount of years. Are we just going to pick that up? Is that what we're doing? We'll just have that. We'll just help you out with that one. Or should it more be a realistic situation of, well, you bought him a year ago, now you've decided you don't want him. He's surplus to your plans. So his value's gone down. His valuation's down. Just because we lost at the weekend doesn't change that. His valuation's gone down. You want to get rid of him. You want to sell him. You've signed midfielders this summer. Take the price down. And maybe, like I said, PSG are willing to wait to the end of the window. Maybe Man United are willing to wait to the end of the window too when it comes to it. But we know at the end of this week, Ugarte will be a United player. I suppose it's just a case of how long are United willing to wait? Would they want to? Would they want him to get in quicker than he can possibly be involved at the weekend? But to be fair, with Erik ten Hag, even if we bought him, even if by the end of the day today, Man United did the announcement that Ugarte's holding up the shirt, which is not going to happen today, obviously. But let's say that happened today. Ugarte still probably wouldn't start against Liverpool at Old Trafford because Erik ten Hag just doesn't really like to do that. Does it a couple of times if he's forced to, but I don't think he would. And it's going to be really interesting to see that team he does pick at the weekend because of the criticism of his team selection and because of his... Well, it will change now because we lost. And that's the only problem with that Erik ten Hag sort of philosophy of, I like continuity, so I pick the same team if they win. But then when you lose, shit, basically. So I'd be stunned if that, but like, for instance, at the weekend, that back four isn't Mazraoui, De Ligt, Licha, Dallo. There's no way it can't be. I would be floored if that is the case. And it's going to be interesting to see the injury status on Mason Mount, of course. Came off because he had a bit of an issue. And the Mason Mount discussion is really interesting as well, isn't it? Because for all of the criticism that he gets and for all of the what role does he fit, and he still shouldn't get number 7, don't get me wrong, but he's come off twice now in the game against Fulham and game against Brighton. And when he has come off, there is a noticeable difference in Man United's structure in terms of how solid it is and their pressing and their intensity, which is very, very curious. But the natural response to that is a guy that we're not sure what position he is. How has he become immediately integral to our overall game plan? Is also kind of wild, isn't it? And also, there's the point of view of, is pressing just enough? Are you looking for more from him too? So that discussion surrounding Mason Mount is probably not for one for now. Maybe we do it tonight on the red carpet. But it's a really, really interesting one, isn't it? Because he's gone from, we don't know what his role is. We still don't really know what his role is. But he's kind of become a bit important now. But he's also still not important. And also, he might be injured again. If he's injured again, this guy's getting injured all the time. So he can't. What are we going to do with that? So yeah, that is such a unique and strange situation surrounding him. Only at United, of course. And then you get into the territory of at the weekend as well. Does he start Joshua Zirkzee? Do you have a game with an actual striker, even though he's a half a striker, as he said? Do you do that? It's wild also that, and this is when, again, I think Ten Hag absolutely does deserve criticism at the weekend, because these are things he is in control of, is that, we've got Scott McTominay on his way to Napoli. That could be confirmed anytime now, really. Here we go, anytime now. He came on for the Manchester United captain on Saturday. And even Bruno's face, Bruno looked a bit, you could tell he had the sort of smirk as if to say, I can't believe I'm coming off. And I know that people go, oh, Bruno maybe wasn't at his best at the weekend. And I would agree with that. He wasn't at his best. He got into that stage where he starts trying stuff. I mentioned it on the full-time view. I don't know how many times he tried and outside of the boot pass or outside of the boot cross, it was doing my head in. But you keep him on because he's one of those guys that can be a 0 out of 10 for 89 minutes and then score the winner in the 90th. That's what Bruno Fernandes does, really, isn't it? Right? That is Bruno Fernandes in a nutshell. Is he can have a great game and he can be all over everything, create a load of chances, or he can be terrible and you can kind of carry him for the majority of the game, but he still ends up scoring or does one pass that wins you it. So I was really surprised by that one. I'm not on the blaming Joshua Zirkzee for the offside goal. I felt that was a really unlucky and unfortunate situation. Call me crazy, but I like my strikers to, because with what happened in it, it's a ball across. He slides for it, and Garnacho hits it towards him, and he does move his knee out. Now he will know if it's him trying to get out of the way, if it's him just natural reflex. As a striker, if you get a ball smashed at you in milliseconds, you would hope it's your natural reflex just to stick something out and try and get into the back of the net. It was really unfortunate, and I think what we don't need to be doing as fans is like, it's your fault. If you got in the way of that, it's unlucky. It's one of those things. You could maybe make an argument to Garnacho, finish it a bit better. Don't aim at the striker. But again, it's milliseconds, isn't it? It's milliseconds. So I don't blame Joshua Zirkzee for that one. I do. Again, I like the fact that he played 2 games for Manchester United. He scored in the first one. He was involved in the second one, and hopefully now he can start starting games for United. And then obviously when Højlund comes back, there's more competition there as well. So like I said earlier on, I don't think the season's over just yet. And even if we lose at the weekend, I don't think it's over just yet. There's still a long time to go. And it's still going to be a very long season. For good, for bad, for indifferent. Plenty of games. And if we win at the weekend, which I think is entirely possible, then what's it going to be? The goalposts are always constantly moved, aren't they? Because if we win at the weekend, it'll be luck, Or if we do win by playing well, it'll be, but Brighton. So that's the life of being a Manchester United fan. What I do hope is, because we're after the Liverpool game, it's the first international break, which, by the way, international football again. But it's first international. But why as well? What games are they? Are they qualifying games? If it's like Nations League bullshit as well, England football. Honestly, who gives a shit about this Nations League nonsense? Oh, God, play Ireland and Finland. And the players just got back. I mean, I know technically it might be good for them because they can play, football and what have you. But the club season literally just started. We're like 3 weeks in to it. And already you're going on pissing international break for a competition that nobody cares about. This is also the thing. There are too many matches of football. I get it. We're fans. We want to watch, get as many games as possible. But you check out, don't you? You check out. Even look at Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham's got an injury at the moment. Oh, he missed a game, didn't he, for Real Madrid? And he said on Twitter, so I think I'm a bit like, burnt out, breaking down. Too many games. Like, again, too many games. Just ridiculous. And to the end of the year, I'm just looking at England's next fixtures. September, October, November, all Nations League games. What's the point? Honestly, what is the point? Just give them some time off. Even if it was just mandatory, we just can't play that weekend. Again, just give them time off. don't have them constantly playing games. Because then also as well, for instance, if say, I don't know, some player goes out on international duty and they get injured in the Nations League, you go, Casper says Nations League are more interesting than the friendlies they replace. I disagree. They're really not. They're exactly the same for me, the Nations League. I know that they've basically made it like you can win a trophy, and don't you get some kind of spot that comes with it. But to me, they're glorified friendlies. They're just, completely pointless. And I don't even. What was it? Did Spain win the last one? I think maybe. You didn't pay attention to it. It's madness. Nations League. Joe Fleming says, this never taking Bruno off thing does my head in. Well, I would get that if we had legitimate, proper replacements. But again, the one at the weekend, it's not like, rule of thumb, you never take Bruno Fernandes off. Of course you can take Bruno Fernandes off. But I think when it's 1-1, you're away from home and you're captain, and he's your, chief creator, as it was. I just don't think you would do that, If you're winning the game, or, if you've got a legitimate, this guy can come on, he can create, cool. I know McTominay scored goals, but at the same time, he's not going to be here that much longer as well, is he? He's not going to be here. Tommy's going to Napoli, so I'm not sure why that was the case. But in that game, I wouldn't have took Bruno Fernandes off, because again, he creates in those games, even if he was playing badly, because he's played badly before and then he scores. I remember last year we played Fulham at Craven Cottage. What a terrible game that was. Bruno was awful, absolutely awful. Scored in the last minute because that's what he does. That's what he does. Last minute or what have you, and that could have easily have happened at the Amex, But we won't know. So there you go, guys. That's a transfer view for you this morning. Reminder: 7 p.m. red carpet. Flex, KG, myself, Adam Saeed, and of course anything else that happens with transfers and all that kind of stuff, we'll be all over it indeed. So big up everyone. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate your comments. Appreciate the super chats. Appreciate the likes. And we'll be back very soon. I'm out of here. Peace. I missed the super chat. Yeah? I missed the super chat. I want to put the respect. Jason says, Owen, I like Ugarte, but we're signing the wrong profile. We need to buy a midfielder who can control games. We lack control in midfield. Well, we will see. We will see if he's the right profile or not, isn't it? That's the thing with transfers. They're always a risk. You never know. So we'll see. Big up. Appreciate the super chat. Sorry I missed it. I'm out of here again. Another piece.